I've had this car for way longer than I'd care to admit, and way longer than I've wanted to. But I've brought it outside kind of like a memento to what we used to do as a channel, and where we actually started off when we first had this car. It's been that long, working outside on the driveway. So this is the Mercedes 190e, which we did our first ever engine swap for. This has got an M111, which is a supercharged engine out of an SLK 230, and it's took so long. And there was many times that I considered giving up, but I didn't want to let myself down, I didn't want to let people down that I promised it would drive. And today we're finally here, and we're going to be taking it for its first ever drive. But I brought it outside for a couple of reasons as well. One, because I wanted to do the final job outside to kind of send off these, well, I don't want to say send off, but let's say just to mark the end of a potential era or whatever, because although this is an amazing day, we're going to be driving this car for the first time, there are some negatives that come along with it, and I've just wanted to kind of finish it off and hopefully start a new chapter in a totally different way. Now, what is the end of the chapter? It's not that negative. I don't like it when people try to say that they're going to be ending the YouTube channel. I'm not. I'm just going to be taking a new approach. This has took so much time, and around a third of the way through, the views started dropping off massively. And I put that down to I was taking too long to, you know, get the videos out or whatever. So the E30 was the final test, the final test to me. You know, do the things I enjoy, work on YouTube. And it's come to light that they don't. The E30 was a big test to me. You know, let's get something cool, let's do a huge project, a big thing, and it's gonna do well. And it didn't. It didn't do well. And that was, you know, months of stress and hard work for something that didn't really pay off in the end. And I'm sitting here and I'm doing videos on my transporter, which are obviously nowhere near as stressful and whatever, and they do almost, you know, 7 or 8 times the views. So it is a little bit disheartening doing huge projects like that, because don't get me wrong, that was stressful. That added a lot of stress onto my life trying to get that car finished. You know, it's every single day, all day, every day, all night, stress, not sleeping because the car's not running. And I want to make a new chapter for the channel, and I want to kind of go down the route of what seems like it's working on YouTube. And unfortunately, the things that I've been doing don't really seem like they are. And that's annoying because I personally think they're super cool. Like engine swaps and stuff, like it's crazy, but people just don't seem that interested in them anymore, and it's quite sad. So we're going to be starting a new chapter of the channel. I've got a new camera, we're filming in 4K 10-bit, which is amazing. I've just bought a new laptop, which was fucking expensive, to edit in 4K 10-bit, and we're going to be putting the engine swap stuff behind us, and we're going to be starting to do some different things. So it's not the end of the channel by any means. I know it might sound like when I was saying a negative thing, but we're just going to be changing the direction of where we're going, and hopefully it's going to be good for you guys, and hopefully I see a better return as well, which in turn will make it more enjoyable for me. So we need to drive this thing, we need to drive it, we need to clean it, but first of all we need to finish off the final job to get this car finished. Let's go and do it. I'll do this. Is it this thing? No, is it this thing? Yes. Mercedes German engineering legends. Oh, we need a battery as well. Oh yeah, we need a battery. Okay, there's a couple of things we've got to do, but this is actually the last thing we've got to do, and I want to do it outside. First time we started working on this car was when we was working outside. That's how long it's been. So let's finish it off the way we started. Now this car annoyingly has 2 different intakes. It has an intake here and it has an intake here. Now the idea is that this is the intake which bypasses the supercharger, and this is the intake which actually throws through the supercharger. So what happens is when you're on throttle, or a certain percentage of throttle, this one will close and it will send all the intake, all the air through the supercharger, making boost. Now, I was really struggling to get 2 different intercooler setup, air and filter. Anyway, we went to AirTech and we said, AirTech, can you please help us out? And they've made something that's going to work. Well, hopefully, we're going to see in a second. You can actually just run 2 separate filters, which would work fine if both of the pipes were like this. Now, because all you'd be able to do is just get a filter, clamp it down on the rubber, and off you go.
But the annoying thing is, on here, this one has a throttle body. The annoying thing is, as you can see, it's got a flange. There's just a flat bit. But AirTech have made this flange. They've made this out of aluminium, and they've done this for me last minute, and I'm forever grateful for AirTech for making this flange. Now, when I actually got in there, they said, "You're not running them filters, are you?" I said, "Well, actually, I'm not running them filters because I can only find one of these filters. So I'm going to have to probably find another filter, which is probably different." Anyway, they were not liking the way the conversation was going. So they went upstairs and they got me 2 AirTech filters as well. Now, it's a really weird size. This is a 60mm, so not many air filters come in a 60. But AirTech have managed to find them and they give me a lot of reducers. And it's hopefully going to work. They said it's not as small as this, but it should fit where I need it to fit, because big air filters are not going to fit in there. So let's install it all and pray it fits. So AirTech had already installed the flange onto the throttle body, so all we've got to do is literally put it back onto one of the boost pipes. I'm so glad AirTech did this, because I was going to make it out of steel and it would have looked horrible. So we've got 2 filters here from AirTech. And they've both got some reducers on as well, and they've actually got a adapter here to go in our rubber hose, and then we've got one here with a 60mm adapter to go straight onto our throttle body, so we can be running twin AirTech into air filters like this. Now, it can be a little tricky when you've got different reducers like this, because they are rubber, so they kind of like squeeze into each other, but I found the best way to fit them was to actually put the reducer onto the pipe first and then put the filters on over the top. Now, the 2 filters do actually sit quite nice like that, quite nice and snug. It might be good to make a bracket in the future just to secure them down, but I'm happy for the time being. And it's actually time to put on the final covers onto the engine, which are a totally different colour because they've been sat around for so long. Using a battery for a car that has an engine swap is quite difficult, because obviously you want the battery which runs this engine, but you want the battery with the size of the car. So what I do to get around that is I just go for the cheapest battery possible, which looks like it'll work, and just try and make it work. The battery is in, so the car will start its own accord now, which is great news. The bad news is I've been looking everywhere for the scuttle panel. There's a scuttle panel, and there's, well, with a little bit here, and the ECU is all the way down here in the K40 relay, so we definitely don't want to be getting those wet. Now, I've been looking everywhere for the scuttle panel, I can't remember where I put it. But I've had a vague memory today of snapping it all to get it out when William was here, because I didn't want to spend 4 hours getting the scuttle panel off nicer, and William was only here for about 2 days. So we're gonna have to buy a new scuttle panel and whatever else I broke, which right now I can't remember. Now, one more thing that this car hasn't got, and it will fail an MOT on, is that right now it doesn't have any screen wash. It doesn't have a screen wash bottle. The original screen wash bottle sat here, and for obvious reasons, we can't run that again. Now, I actually installed a part on my E30, and I actually installed 2 nozzles to go to the rear tyres. So when I'm drifting, when I'm doing taxi days, I can cool the rear tyres down, and to do that, I actually use a screen wash bottle. You can get one on Amazon for about £13. It comes with the bottle, the pump, and actual tubing as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to order one of those, and then what we're going to do is we can actually chop into this plug and send it to the new plug which comes in the kit. Therefore, it will be on the actual stalk, which is great. Now, we don't have any space on this side of the engine bay, so we're actually going to use the other side of the engine bay to mount the new screen wash bottle. So for that reason, we're actually going to move the hoses over to the other side of the engine bay. Now, the only issue is, because the other side, they're meant to be the other side, this one is shorter, so it wouldn't have got through there. So we've obviously found some extra hose in. I've put a little piece in there, not a T-piece, but a singular piece. I don't know what a singular one is called. And then we're going to run them down here, tuck them away down there, and then we can reuse this little contraption, what was on the other side. So we're going to cut them to the right about length, which is probably going to be there. And then all we've got to do is run this singular hose to the new screen wash pump, which we're going to put around here. And now, to have it actually working on the stalk, we need to use the original wiring from the original plug. So this is the original plug, so we're just going to send that over there. Now, the best thing about doing engine swaps is that you have a load of this stuff left over, and this is amazing for doing any kind of wiring, because buying copper wire is A, expensive, and it's a pain trying to get a lot of it. So all we're going to do is splice into the old wires and run 2 long cables neatly all the way back to the bulkhead, over to the other side, ready to wire into our new screen wash pump when it turns up tomorrow. My screen wash pump bottle thingy majig has arrived. This is actually a defacio. Now this is a good look, and this is actually around £15 on Amazon, and it £15 on Amazon. It's actually quite good because you get the screen wash pump, the pump, you get a bottle, you get wiring, and you actually get all kind of different fittings as well to actually go into your standard, you know, system. So we've actually got some pipe here, and you've actually got some like 90-degree bends and U-bends and straight bends, and actually wired it up on the other side last time. So all we've got to do is just wire these 2 into this connector, and then realistically it should work on the standard stalk. And this is the final thing before we can get an MOT, because obviously in an MOT they test if your windscreen washers work. So we need to find somewhere to mount this first and foremost. We don't want it like that because it's going to obviously, it's not going to pump. We need it sitting somewhat straight, so we might have to make some kind of a bracket or do something. We might have to make a little bracket going off here. But this is a fine... Let's not fucking break it, man. We're just fucking bone. Now this wiring is way too long, so we're just going to chop it around about here. Right. And then this is the plug which goes into the windscreen washer. So we're going to wire this into them. Now I am pretty positive that these wires, they don't necessarily have a positive or a negative. They just have like a, you know, a current going through them. But just in case I am wrong, I'm going to put removable crimps on the end so we can change them over if for some reason there is a certain positive and a negative, which again I don't think there is, but I'd rather just not take the risk. Now this is pretty much the only space you've got on the car. Now we don't want to mount it like that because the pump's at the bottom here, so it's obviously, unless it's full, it's not really going to work. So we kind of want to mount it straight. So there's a nice little bit of thread here that's not being used. Now this actually comes with a bracket like that, so we're going to probably mount it something like that. So if we can kind of make, you know, just a little bit of a bracket here out of some metal or aluminium or something that we've got lying around, we can then have this kind of sitting like this. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but as long as it's like that, that way then, you know, we're going to make the use of whatever kind of liquid we got in there. But also we need to think as well, actually no, this is really easy to remove, so if we do need to get a headlight we can always just pop this out, it's not really a big deal. So I'm going to go and get a little bit of strip of metal or aluminium or see what I've got, and we're going to make something work. So this is the, annoyingly I've only got really thin aluminium, which is annoying, so this looks a bit messy, but I'm just trying to just bend it around to get a decent idea. So I think something like this would probably be good. If we just have to just make it out of steel, which is annoying, but at least it'll be strong and it won't be wobbly like this will be. So the idea is we've got a hole at the bottom, put it over that, we'll put a nut on there, and then that creates kind of like a straighter platform to bolt this to like that. It looks quite good. So basically we have to just replicate that in steel. And after 10 minutes or so, this is what I have made up. Just painted it, so I'm just trying to let it dry. But in theory, that's going to sit just over that thread there. And then that means that I can just pop that straight down and it's going to sit like that. Now, what I have noticed as well, since I've been starting it up, it's got a little bit ticky. It's a little bit tappy at the top end. And that's just because it's not been ran in so long. So I do want to put a ton of fuel in it and just let it idle. And just let the oil get back up to the lifters, because obviously what's been happening is the oil would have drained out the lifters after, you know, this engine has been sat for over a year. So the oil would have just drained out the lifters. And it's just starting to get a little bit tappy. So I just want to just idle it, get it idling for a while. And hopefully get rid of the tapping. And it's literally just a case of running the final tube in from the pump to the little splitter thing that we've got, and then just plugging in the pump. And we hope it's gonna work. Right, so we're topped up with water. All the wiring's on. It should. Okay, the pump is working. It's not sending the water through. Okay, weirdly, with the bonnet up, it's working. You can see that. With the bonnet shut, it wasn't. So let's see. I don't know if the Might just be getting caught on one of the hoses, maybe. The bonnet fully shut. Okay, so I think it must have just been caught on one of the lines. It's working! And the wiper is finally starting to work as well, because it's obviously, I've not done the wiper in so long that it was obviously just starting to like get caught up, but nice. Which means, now that means there is literally one more thing left to do on the 190, and that's all that is we're just going to wait for it to come in the post. That is just literally the scuttle panel, literally just to go over there. It just hides all that kind of stuff, and the ECU is there where you see that plastic bag. I don't want to take that off, and I don't want to drive it, because if water gets in that ECU, it potentially could ruin everything that we've done. So I'm going to leave that until that scuttle panel comes, which should be in a few days, and then we can get an MOT on this car, and then we can finally drive it after all these years. Now today is a very, very, very special day. I've been looking for a set of wheels for the 190 on Facebook for like weeks, months even. Trying to find a set of wheels for a car like this is very hard, because like nothing suits it, and there was literally one set of wheels that I wanted, and I was trying to find a pair, I'm definitely not buying new because I'm a cheap bastard, because I'm northern. So I was waiting for a set to pop up on Facebook, and one did pop up. It's bigger than the size that I wanted, so I'm a bit worried they're not going to fit. I ideally wanted 17s, and these are 18s, 8J, ET something bigger than an ET need, so I don't know if they're going to fit. And the worst thing is with a car like this as well, with the E30 it's not a big deal to get a sledgehammer and just make them fit. Obviously we want to keep this clean, so I'm a little bit worried, but they're in the boot of the X5. Let's get them out and let's show you what wheel I wanted and which wheel I've actually got. So I wanted a 17-inch initially, because obviously they're not a really big car. But these popped up in an 18-inch and they were cheap. I got them for 275 quid with like 4 new tyres. So I did get them cheap. Now, with the car like this, you can't put new wheels on because they look stupid. The only wheels that really suit them are like old BBS style wheels. Didn't actually want BBS style wheels because I don't know, because I feel like I'm gonna get absolutely rinsed if I don't get real BBSs. I don't want to afford real BBSs. These popped up, and everyone hates black wheels, but I actually love black wheels, and I think these are gonna really suit it. And the more I'm looking at them right now with the car there, I'm really excited. But they are big. These are 18-inch, and yes, I've got Bowler B12s. Oh my god, they're so big. Oh, let's go and put them up against the car and see what they look like. Oh no, they're pretty big. They're pretty bloody big, guys. Oh my god. They're not going to fit. I mean, fitment wise, it's absolutely banging. But it's literally touching. I could shave a little. No, I don't. This thing, if it was just like a drift car or whatever, I would literally just cut that bit off and be like, yeah, send it, be right. But this is. Let's just turn it left and right and let's see if it's actually hitting anything. I mean, it's going to hit that, but let's see if it's actually like hitting the arms or anything like that, because we might just, I don't know, this is the thing with such a nice car. Ah, you fuck. I mean, it's not ideal. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to cut the body. Oh, what do I do? Hang on. Since when have I been fucking scared? So all I've done is just shape it a little tiny bit. I'm going to have to put a little bit of touch-up paint on the inside. Just cracked a little bit of paint on the touch-up. But you can see now it's in line with the bumper. Like perfectly in line with the bumper. If we ever compare it to the other side, this bit massively sticks out. There's a finger's worth there. I actually think it looks better because it actually goes with the line of the bumper, where before it didn't.
Nice. Now we have clearance. Again, it is pretty tight still, but like that is like a nice fitting wheel. Like just get my little finger down the inside of it so you can actually see the nice gap there. Again, see where a little bit of the paint just hammering it, but a little sacrifice has gone a long way. And the wheels are on. I like the fronts. I think the fronts look pretty cool. The back looks a little bit weird. I think it just gets a little bit higher. And obviously I don't have the kit on. If I had the Evo kit, it'd look the fucking bollocks. But I actually think I like it. And the wheels are really dirty right now as well, so that's not helping. And the car's really dirty, so I'm going to give it a clean. But first of all, let's take it for a quick spin, because look how close that is, man. It's rubbing. Don't know if it's my wheels or the brakes. I'm not quite sure. Rubbing pretty bad, guys. I'm not going to lie. It's rubbing really bad. Oh no, I'm not going to lie. It's rubbing really bad. I don't know if I'm going to get away with them, you know. I think the best thing to do is just get rid of them, because it's going to get to the point where I'm going to be faffing around all day, and I'm going to be doing things like, you know, just shaping the corner of the wing is fine. Like, it actually looks better shaped like that. But it's going to get to the point where it's just going to keep eating through the bumper, eating through the wing, eating through the wheel arch. It's just going to cause more and more and more damage just trying to get these to fit. So, and then also it's going to ruin the tyre on this front wheel as well. So, well, I hate doing this because I feel like I'm giving up. But like, sometimes it's better to just make it work than just make it work. And again, this is a clean car, and I don't want to be cutting everything, cutting the arches and cutting the wheel arch and cutting the bumper and ruining, you know, I don't want to be doing this to this car. So we're going to get some 17s. You know kind of now what's going to fit. These are very, very, very close. So a 17 would go on there like perfect. I did kind of know that from all the forums saying that 17s are the best fit, but I did see a lot of people running 18s. I'm not sure how, but yeah, it's definitely not good. I also think after having these on the car, I think that it would suit a silver wheel better than a black wheel. Now I know most people probably screaming in the comments saying that they would have knew that anyway, but it definitely would suit a silver wheel than a black wheel. So, you know, sometimes you learn some things, and today I've learned, don't get wheels that are too big, even though the forums say that they might fit, they probably won't. And also, maybe black wheels aren't the best. So let's top the car up and see if we can get rid of this lifter tick. So it's been idling for about half an hour, and I've just been driving up and down, and the ticking stopped. You hear that? No. That's right, motherfuckers, the ticking stopped! Woohoo! I did get really worried, I'm not gonna lie. I did get a little bit worried when I started hearing it tick. But I messaged Will, I was like, are these engines like known to tick? He said, look, it's been sat for a year and a half, almost, you know. He was like, it'll probably take about an hour of driving and it will just quieten up, it will just shut up. And it wasn't really making any difference when it was idling, so I've just took it for like 3 or 4 spins up, down, just getting the oil pressure up, and silent. Absolutely silent. The only thing is, when I'm turning, there's a bit of a click on the steering. You might be able to hear it. There, hear that? So I need to have a look at that, because it might just be the steering column underneath, or I'm not sure. It might just be something. It does sound like it's coming from inside the car, but I'm going to get it up and have a look and just see what that is, because that is literally the only thing. Oh my god, I'm so happy. What I do need to do, he's telling me my screen wash is low, so I just need to find the sensor and just bridge it together. Just bridge it together just to turn that light off, because there's no other lights other than that. But oh my god, it's so nice driving it. Woohoo! We're gonna do a bit of a first gear pull for you all. Woo! So just from outside as well, there's no ticking. Yes! Very happy about that. Oh, look at it with the sunset. Yeah, damn. I was gonna actually try to change the wheels, but I think I'm just gonna keep these wheels. A lot of people said I actually quite like the way it sits on these wheels, and I actually quite like it too. So I think we're just going to leave them. I can't really be arsed trying to change the wheels. Oh, yes. So let's wait for that scuttle panel, and let's get it in for its MOT. We're going to take it for its first ever long, proper drive. I'm very happy that that stopped ticking now. So happy about that. Look how dirty it is. It deserves a proper good clean. I'm probably going to get a detailer around to do it. So let's go and do a few more laps and just celebrate driving the car. We've got a tail light out as well.
let's just celebrate driving the car and just go a little bit up and down until we can take it for its MOT. But oh yes, after a week of waiting or so, we finally have the final part that we need to finish off the 190. Now this is just literally the guttering for the bottom of the windscreen. Doesn't seem like a very important thing, but for this car it's very important. And that's because the ECU is literally here. You can see it behind this plastic. The ECU sits there. So without this guttering on and without the actual plastic, all the water's going to run down onto the ECU and potentially fry it. So we definitely don't want that to happen. A little bit of a gap there, and you can see this gets covered by this, I believe, I hope. So we're going to install this, and there's one more thing which I've noticed with the cars. When you turn in, there's a bit of a clicking noise, so something's getting caught underneath. So we're going to jack it up, fix that, and once these are on, we're going to book it for its MOT, get an MOT, and we're going to go for a nice long drive because we deserve it. So let's get it finished and let's get it booked in. So it's been a long time coming. Let's fit this final plastic piece. Now it can be a little bit fiddly. Now luckily enough, I haven't bolted everything down in terms of like the bulkhead, so we have to pull that forward to actually get this in. Now it's a little bit fiddly trying to get it around the rubbers, but it is doable. Now the next thing is when I'm actually, especially dry steering the car, you can feel like a bit of a clunk. Now it's more prominent when the wheels are on the floor. When the wheels are off the floor, you still can hear it. So we got some good news and bad news. So this is, it's a very weird design. It's almost like a Land Rover steering box. So you've got the actual like inner tie rod there, and then the steering dampener there. It's very much like a Land Rover. This is gone. So this is there's two trap rods. It's a really weird design. This one is gone. I'm pretty sure this is the one causing the noise. I think the other one's got a little bit of play as well, that one. But we can't actually get them. I've just rang GSF and they've been out. They're going to have to get one next day. So we're going to take it off now and get it out of the way at least. So we're going to have to change this one, and I'm going to change the other inner one as well. The outer ones seem pretty solid. So let's get off these very old trap rods. Oh no. Now the access to these is an absolute pain. It's tucked right behind the subframe, so I can't even get like a ball joint splitter in there. So there's only one thing left to do. It's crazy what a little tiny bit of heat will do. Now these things were not budging. There's actually no way to even get a spanner on. The only thing I could get to grip was a pair of vice grips, and as you can see, it was solid. I did try to find just 2 new trap rods and the middle bar online, and I couldn't get them anywhere. The only things I could find was the outer trap rod, so I'm going to have to try and get this off. Now I know it looked like I succeeded there, but that was just one of the threads. This took absolutely ages to get this whole trap rod out. It never gave way up until the last couple of threads. It was an absolute nightmare, and it took a lot of lube and a lot of heat to get this bloody thing out. So I've actually got the trap rod off eventually. That was an absolute pain, and we've ordered some other ones, so they're going to be here tomorrow. I've just gone to test the wheel again, and it still is making a bit of a clicking noise. Now I know a lot of cars when they're unloaded will make that noise, but it is pretty much the exact same noise, so I'm worried that the noise is still there. I've had a bit of a Google, and a lot of people are saying they've had the same issue, and sometimes it's the actual steering box that's gone wrong, or sometimes it's actually just air in the system. There's a few guys that have said they had the exact same problem when there was air in the system. Now I didn't do a huge bleed with this, I only did a bit of a quick bleed, so it might be the case of just doing another proper bleed, but I think we need a wheel bearing for the other side, and I've looked and it's a pain of a job. So I'm going to end this video here because it's been going on for way too long. I wanted to do this as the final video and put the final drive in the MOT, but it's just going to be too long of a video. So we're going to be doing that in the next one, finishing off the 190E. See you in the next one.